कुमार स्वामी नायक है गोंगो लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2
In the news tonight, vaccination key in reopening international borders. More schools ready for new school year. And $9 million invested in Lotoka mill upgrade.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Atera Lendua.
The rollout of COVID-19 vaccines will be a major component in restarting international travel. The Fiji Commerce and Employers Federation says the Australian government had hinted that if 80% of Fiji's population is vaccinated, then the chances of a travel bubble between the two countries are high. Kameli Mbatiweti says this will also boost economic activity in the country.
The local economy will kick-start with the opening of international borders.
If that happens, that means our businesses in Fiji will begin to pick up again and be able to create more employment and create more business, then we'll see it happen.
Bhatiweti says Fijians need to work together to ensure majority of Fijians get vaccinated so that the border restrictions can be eased.
As long as the borders are closed and all, it won't happen. So there are some people who are saying, don't vaccinate and all that stuff. Please, we beg you. If government asks you to vaccinate, please vaccinate.
Australian High Commissioner to Fiji, John Feeks, in a statement says there is no doubt that the vaccine is the first step towards restarting international travel. Feeks says the officials from Australia and Fiji have been working together on procurement and rollout of vaccines when they become available. However, Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Dr. James Fong says Fijians should not be complacent with the availability of vaccines.
What may change is the shape of the COVID-safe measures. In other words, we may have less stringent COVID-safe measures.
Australian government is working on a joint plan with Fijian authorities on how best they can support Fiji in planning and accessing the COVID-19 vaccines. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
Prime Minister Borange Bainimarama is pleased with that schools in various parts of Boa that were affected by tropical cyclone Yasa are ready to start the new school year. Bainimarama was visiting the cyclone-affected schools in Vonolevu over the past 3 days to see damage sustained as well as check on the progress of the rehabilitation work. Eleanor Rangevu reports.
With the quick fix of damaged classrooms now completed, school heads have indicated they are ready for the new school year come January 18th.
It's ready. The school is ready. Everything is supplied by the Ministry of Education and UNICEF, so we are ready.
I'm positive that the students will make their way on the 19th.
Classes are to commence on January 19th, and for students in the affected schools, they will be learning in these temporary classrooms.
I would like to thank the government of the day that they come and help us here. So we have got the 2 tents here. RFMF group have placed 3 tents for our classrooms to be used for classes 6, 7 and 8.
Speaking in Voto village in Lekutu, Mboa earlier this week, Prime Minister Borange Bainimarama says he is pleased that these affected schools are ready for the new school year despite the conditions of their schools.
I am really delighted with the reassurance given to me by the heads of schools that we have visited for the past few days that they are fully prepared for the new school year.
Schools that have yet to get their water supply restored have been provided with water tanks, and those still without power have been given generators to kickstart the new school year. Eleanor Turangaivu, FBC News.
Prime Minister Borange Bainimarama has acknowledged the Australian government and the Australian Defence Forces for coming to Fiji's aid in our time of need. Bainimarama yesterday visited the Ngalo Island Primary School in Boa, where the ADF personnel were rebuilding a classroom totally destroyed by TCASA. Eleanor Rangevu has more.
It was a proud moment for both countries, an indication of the strong Vuvale partnership that they share. Fijian Prime Minister Borange Bainimarama visiting and thanking the Australian Defence Forces personnel for the rehabilitation carried out at Ngalo Island Primary School.
I also want to thank you and the Government of Australia for this opportunity to sit together, but also an opportunity for us to thank you in return for the wonderful work that you're doing for us.
The 618 ADF personnel on board the HMAS Adelaide arrived at Ngaloa Island on December 30th and started the massive work of reconstructing a 3-classroom building that was flattened by tropical cyclone Yasa.
This is not a time to be here. It's a time to be with families, especially during the Christmas and New Year period. And you've been away for a while. So we want to thank you for all your sacrifices to make good the devastation that Hurricane Yasa brought to Fiji.
The rebuilding of the classroom block was completed by yesterday and it's been outfitted with new desks and chairs donated by AusAid. The ADF also made some donations.
They came with packs of stationery, like it's called school in a box, and like one box contains like stationery for 40 children, and they have come with 4 of that. They have promised us before they go they'll fix up a new solar kit, and on top of that, for our bad weather, they have given us a generator also.
The Australian Defence Force has also been very instrumental in the delivery of water, food and relief supplies to the cyclone-ravaged parts of Vanuatu. The HMAS Adelaide and its crew are expected to depart our shores early next week. Eleanor Turangaiwiu, FBC News.
The Fiji Sugar Corporation invested $9 million in upgrading the Lautoka sugar mill last year. Outgoing Chief Executive Graham Clark says this included improving the air quality of emissions coming from the factory, which not only benefited nearby residents, but the efficiency of their boiler as well. Kelly Badala reports.
For years, Lautoka residents have been affected by emissions coming from the Lautoka mill, and the FSC made it a priority to have it fixed.
At the same time, it also improved the efficiency of our boiler, and using that, we were able to generate electricity, which we were able to export into the EFL grid. And Lautoka alone earned more than $2 million this year from power exports alone.
Outgoing Chief Executive Graham Clark says they have been careful with the investment.
We've invested in specific areas in the factory, like the cane carriers, the mills, those sort of things, just to help us on performance going forward. So, you know, we have to be very careful in what we spend, and it has to be spent in the right place to do the right thing and we get the right result.
Mill upgrades will help improve the sugar quality. However, burnt cane being delivered to the mills remain an issue.
Our sugar is much sought after. Just imagine if they produce sugar from unburnt cane. It would be even more premium for premium sugar for Fiji than it is already. So I think that's the message that needs to go out to the farmers.
Fiji sugar has gained global recognition, and the FSC says we are in a position to be more selective in the international market. Kelly Badala, FBC News.
Up ahead, last-minute back-to-school shopping continues. And Sony Matthews strives despite challenges.
Baik tu dia jadi mereka tahu रेडियो फिजी बहुत रेडियो फिजी रोज सुनता हूँ
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन.
A total of 195,883 students will begin school from Tuesday, of which 5,794 young Fijians will be going to school for the first time. Apart from the students, the Education Ministry is also welcoming the 13,099 teachers as they are ready to start the new academic year. The ministry says 7,159 students will exit the education system, having completed 13 years of formal learning. Minister Rosie Akbar says, as parents, teachers and members of the respective school management, everyone should stand ready to listen to each other's perspectives, learn from each other's experiences and appreciate constructive views. The ministry says, as rebuilding in the wake of tropical cyclone Yasa continues and the ongoing COVID-19 crisis, she is hopeful that together a common ground can be found on effective efforts to sustainably improve learning outcomes for students. With one day remaining before the new school term starts, some parents were still out doing their last-minute shopping. Dipesh Kumar caught up with some parents who say they've shopped around in search for affordable prices. Dipesh Kumar reports.
Many Fijians have been facing financial difficulties because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and this year they have re-looked at their back-to-school shopping stance.
So I prefer this shop. It lasts long, they have warranty for the shoes, and plus the price is suited for everyone since everyone is facing this difficult time of COVID-19. So this price is affordable to everyone.
I mean, honestly, the cheapest sandal we can find. It's in the middle of town, much more full, better to come out here.
An important component of getting back to school are shoes, and parents are leaning more towards affordability.
Especially in working shoes, because it's much more cheaper.
Compared to other shops, it's really cheap here and it's a good price.
A lot of people are shopping here. It's good and really cheap.
A number of people had to cut down their expenses to cater for their children's school needs. This year, Fijians did their homework before doing back-to-school shopping so they could save on some money. Dipesh Kumar, FBC News.
The Fiji Police Force 2020 to 2024 strategic plan is aimed at setting a new benchmark for the force. Launching the plan yesterday, Acting Police Commissioner ACP Rusiate Tundravu said by enhancing their capacity development, they will be able to create a safe and secure environment for all Fijians and visitors to our shores. ACP Tundravu says the 5-year strategic plan has synchronized the force's dreams and aspirations. He says effective crime prevention and control, efficient investigation, detection and successful prosecution, reliable intelligence and road safety will be some key areas they will be focusing on.
The next 5 years will mark exciting times for us, as captured in detail in this strategic plan, all aimed at nurturing the professional development of our men and women. Our focus will be people-oriented, fostering a positive work environment to help officers realize their full potential.
Worshippers of Victory Assemblies of God in Makoi Nasinu have expressed their concerns regarding the attitude of their church pastor. The church has around 60 members who are claiming that their pastor is using a dictatorship style of leadership. FBC News visited the church today, witnessing the commotion between the church members and the pastor. The members are claiming that the pastor disregards their requests and grievances and has threatened them should they wish to go to higher authorities. Members also claim that the main AOG body appointed the pastor despite their opposition 2 years ago, and since then there has been a lot of conflict between them.
We do not want this pastor. We want a good pastor who can look after us.
But what is his way of doing is not good for the members.
The pastor refused to make any comments on the allegations against him. Attempts to get comments from Assemblies of God were futile. In life, there is no difficulty which cannot be overcome when there is determination and commitment. This is true for 44-year-old Sony Matthews, the artist behind Black Butterfly Designs. Apenisa Wangarandovu with Matthews' success story.
The 20-year-old business started with a lot of struggles, but Sony Matthews says she had seen harder days coming from a sugar farming background.
I see my parents, they struggle in the farm. They are still in the farm. They have sugar cane, and if you don't get money, you don't eat. If you don't plant, you don't eat. So I always have that. I go out and I need to get. If I don't do things and get money, I don't get paid, then I don't eat.
Matthews says not being able to complete her studies did not deter her from proving her points.
I finished school at Form 4 because my parents couldn't put me through more schooling. but I was always good with my hands. And I always could go out and get things done.
The mother of two recalls how she started her business.
What I used to do is I buy 2 pieces of necklace and join them together. And all my friends used to say, oh, that's nice. And that's how the business started. And that's how I start making jewelry.
Matthews does not only specialize in jewelry making, but is making use of other talents learned from her grandparents.
I make cushion cover, anything crafty, I make it. My grandmother used to make patchwork, embroidery, and that's how I get the idea of doing all that artwork.
Matthews' message to those aspiring to start their business is,
my message is there is no failure in life. Failure is a lesson. Every time you fail, it's teaching you a lesson. So from your failure, you learn.
The black butterfly design is based in Pacific Harbour. In her spare time, Matthews take part in charities to help out communities in need. Apinisong Gradovo, FBC News.
Up ahead in sports, Fiji football introduces new rules. And Wusu Raiders wins the league giants. There's some more coming up.
हमारे सामने नायक है गोंगवा लुगु लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में पुराना गाना लगे हमें बहुत अच्छा लगे
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन
Kasavu Football Club has created history after winning its first Vodafone National Club Championship in 76 years. Kasavu defeated Green Star FC 3-0 in the NCC final at Lawanga Park in Singatoka today. Renina Rakautonga reports.
Hosts Green Star put up a strong first-half performance against a much-experienced Kasavu FC side laced with Rewa reps with the likes of Penyame Ndrova, Anish Kem and brothers Bruce and Setereki Hughes. Hughes was able to break the deadlock in the 35th minute after he dodged past 2 Green Star defenders to score the first goal for Kasavu. Green Star failed to maintain discipline in the second half, which gave Kasavu an opportunity at a free-kick meter from the goal line. This gave Anish Kem the opportunity to increase Kasavu's lead 2-0 in the 64th minute. Kasavu did not stop there as Gabrieli Matanisinga scored the last goal and the win in the 85th minute. Winning its first NCC title has been a milestone achievement for the Rewa Bay side.
Again to the Nandrong side, the Green Stars, they came up strong, give a good challenge, and I think the boys for Kasavu FC, Saram Hengas Kasavu FC deserve this win.
It is back to the drawing board for the Green Star FC side as they focus on making a comeback in this year's NCC tournament.
At the moment, we still looking ahead for the 2021 season, so we'll work on that. We'll go back to basics and start again from ground zero.
Kasavu's Simeone Tamanisau was awarded the Golden Glove Award and Zain Ali of Green Star was awarded the Most Improved Player of the tournament. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Fiji football has introduced a new regulation whereby transfer of minor players will now be subject to certain conditions. The Fiji FA held a forum yesterday where district representatives were reminded that the association does not permit the transfer of players who are under the age of 18. Menina Rakautonga reports.
The Fiji football is in its quest to implement FIFA guidelines locally.
So the players at the age of 18 or below, they are minor players, they are in direct control of their parents or guardians. They are not exploited by district.
Paul says this will help develop each player in a proper manner.
They're at that young age where they should be concentrating on their level of competition only for the progress, right? Before, after 18, they'll get developed to be played in the higher levels of competition.
Chief Executive Mohammed Yusuf says districts and players must follow their contract requirements.
Legislation is very clear, so everybody needs to abide by it. And now this is a window. We're not accepting transfer applications if they do not comply with the legislation. So we are very strict.
Fiji FA states the only exception for minor transfers is if the player and his family moves to another district or for academic reasons. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Weeks of solid preparation paid off for Vusu Raiders after being crowned champions of the Nandronga Nabosan Nines Rugby League tournament yesterday. The Singatoka-based side defeated local giants Mbeto Roosters 16-4 in the grand final at Prince Charles Park in Nandi. Venina Rakautonga again with a story.
Despite being a young team, the side showed confidence as they progressed through the tournament.
Like I told the boys, we are the champion of the sevens in Fiji. The sevens and the rugby league, and this is 9th tournament. I know the boys can do it.
Coach Isoa Mbatimbasanga says taking down one of the champion teams was not easy.
We know that Rooster, they are the champion teams in Fiji in rugby league. But the boys, I know their strength. I told them, we just do our game plan.
Team captain Chosa Tekin Dawai highlighted the key to success.
It was teamwork that landed us this win. We had planned to just try our best, but this win was beyond our expectations, and that shows the bond we have.
The Vusu Raiders walked away with $3,000 while the Roosters claimed $2,000. Meanwhile, in the women's final, the Nandronga Broncos thrashed Nandi Raiders 28-0. Venina Rakautonga, FBC Sports.
Fiji FA is in the process of drafting the club licensing regulations. Today, district representatives and Fiji FA officials collaborated to introduce the criteria that need to be met when the regulations are rolled out. Competitions manager Amitesh Pal says this has been rolled out by FIFA, where all top divisions clubs should follow. Pal says the workshop was a fruitful one as they held brainstorming sessions with district representatives.
We have 5 major pillars that is all Premier Division clubs should follow. They should be in compliance with that in order to play in top division competition.
Sledgehammer Eroni Sau's final try against the Glasgow Warriors last night was not enough to give the Edinburgh side a win. The Warriors edged Edinburgh 23-22 in an exciting encounter at Scotstoun Stadium earlier this morning. In other matches this morning, Fulham was defeated by Chelsea 0-1. West Ham defeated Burnley 1-0. Brighton defeats Leeds 1-0. And West Brom edges Wolves 3-2. A trough of low pressure remains slow moving to the southwest of the group and is expected to drift eastwards and lie just to the south of the country later today. Associated cloud and showers affect the southern parts of the country. Meanwhile, a moist northerly wind flow prevails over Fiji. In the west, some sun, mostly fine conditions during the day. It was cloudy with a thunderstorm this afternoon. Eastwards from Pacific Harbour to Suva, mostly sunny conditions in the morning, then turning cloudy with showers this afternoon. Up north, mostly cloudy with a few scattered showers late in the afternoon. At sea, northerly winds 10 to 15 knots, moderate seas. Turning to the tides, the next high tide is at 9:50 p.m., followed by low tide at 4:16 tomorrow morning. Sunrise is at 5:44. For tomorrow, cloudy periods with some showers, especially in the afternoon or evening, and isolated thunderstorms possible. Outlook for Tuesday, cloudy periods with some showers and isolated thunderstorms over most places. Recapping the main stories: vaccination key in reopening international borders, more schools ready for new school year, and $9 million invested in Lotoka Mill upgrade. For these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. Now to our poll question. This week we're asking, should loans and scholarships for medical studies be suspended this year? Visit our FBC website to answer. You can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook and Twitter accounts. That's your news for tonight. Have a great week up ahead and all the best for the new school term. Good night.
हमारे सामने नायक है गोंगवा लेबू लटोका रेडियो फीजी 2 में